If you had to choose between Cardano and the ADA token versus SEI, right now, which one would you bet on? Cardano, of course, has years of development, a massive market cap, and pretty diehard believers in terms of its community, whereas SEI is new, kind of untested, arguably. However, it's moving quickly with a lot of potential. This is very much the classic battle, stability versus innovation. As far as we're concerned, both of these are spectacular projects. We're matching them one against the other, heads up. We're going to compare technology, adoption, tokenomics, as well as future potential. Welcome to the channel. My name is Maddie, and this is Altcoin Buzz. All the best of luck. Okay, if you choose to invest, maybe it's ADA, maybe it's SEI, maybe it's neither. I wish you very, very well if you're in the altcoin space, and that's a genuine sentiment. I hope you do very, very well. But I'm still not a financial or investment advisor. Just remember that. And also remember that this video by extension is not official financial or investment advice. Let's start off with a quick refresher on exactly what Sei Network is all about. I tend to sum it up with one word, and that is finance. That's because this project is a financial app chain, meaning that SEI's main focus is on DeFi and all of the associated trading. Check out this most recent video on SEI if you haven't seen it already. But in terms of the finance angle, that's kind of only one side of SEI, because it's also showing a very growing trend in terms of the blockchain gaming sector. SEI is already fast and has plans to become even faster. And its Giga feature in particular is going to be a major factor in terms of this. This is an upgrade that should make it the highest throughput EVM chain in the entirety of the crypto sector. It is actually a really big deal because Giga, as we're told, will offer 200,000 TPS, or transactions per second, meaning that SEI is going to be able to support the processing of 100,000 complex TPS that Web 2 level apps like, for example, Google require. In terms of all that's happening on the SEI network, a lot of positive news and announcements as of late. First of all, Apollo is live on SEI. And to clarify, Apollo is one of the world's leading asset managers. It has $840 billion in AUM, assets under management. Their diversified credit fund, or ACRED, ACRED, worth $1.2 billion, launched last week, and it launched on SEI. Securitize is behind the launch of this particular fund. And if you watched our recent video, then you know that this is the firm backed by the likes of BlackRock and Morgan Stanley. So in other words, these are massive movers and shakers, pretty much the biggest companies in their respective spaces and fields. So just to make sure, once again, we're talking about RWA, real world asset tokenization specifically. That all happened on the 25th of September. And then 2 days later, this whole ACRED fund on SEI went live on RWA.xyz. And on day one, it launched with $15 million. Private credit in SEI is very much going global. That seems to be the trend, and it seems to be off to a very good start. Now, I mentioned gaming on SEI. With those kinds of transaction speeds, obviously that's something that the gaming platforms out there, the gaming services, the gaming industry, that's what they're looking for. And thus SEI is also doing really well. It has surged 600% over the last year in terms of gaming. And maybe take this with a grain of salt because it's self-reported, but at least according to their X post, SEI is claiming that that makes them the #1 gaming chain by a pretty wide margin. Obviously, I mentioned already that SEI is fast. That's exactly what you need for blockchain gaming. But of course, there's more than just speed. In terms of gaming, there are plenty of microtransactions in those environments and ecosystems, but they require high throughput and low latency infrastructure. The same demands, as it happens, are made by global RWA markets. So that's gaming a great stress test for the network and just translates perfectly into real-world assets as well. Another very big noteworthy piece of news is, of course, PayPal's PYUSD0. That is coming to SEI. This is PayPal's native stablecoin, and it's also the on-chain payment standard for over 430 million PayPal users worldwide. And Layer 0 powers this with its cross-chain tech. So right now, as I record, the price of SEI is a little over 30 cents. As you can see, it's up double digits here in the last 3 months. It's also up in the last week, actually, pretty nicely as well. We're dealing with a let's call that $1.84 billion market cap. And out of 10 billion SEI tokens, we have 6.1 billion already in circulation. So 61%. Just keep in mind that vesting continues all the way until August 2032. Quick shout out to Surge here. This is our risk-free prediction game that's available on Telegram. And in this game, you just swipe left or right. You can kind of think Hamster Combat or even Tinder. You're swiping to guess whether a crypto asset pumps or dumps. And in the process, you earn rewards. And actually, hopefully, you can pick up some market skills as well while you're at it in the form of technical analysis. They've also kicked off a weekly giveaway. It's a contest that is super simple. Every week, there's a coin of the week. This week, it is Tau, T-A-O. And all you have to do is swipe to find it in the Surge app. Then once you see it, screenshot it and then drop it under their tweet. One random reply wins $50 in USDT. It is super easy, but in order to win and have a chance at winning, of course, you have to at least participate. So check out Surge, have some fun swiping, and maybe snag some cool prizes along the way. Check out the links, the URLs in the description of this video below to participate. Okay, let's now talk about Cardano. Certainly a familiar favorite going back many, many years for myself and on this channel. ADA, of course. With this one, we have a much more established project here to consider. And that's for a lot of reasons, right? It has solid fundamentals, a long track record, and deep academic backing. Whether or not you're a fan of that, certainly Cardano has it. However, I'd say the flip side of that, maybe the negative, or at least the criticism that some people bring up, is it's much more conservative in terms of pushing radical scaling under live conditions, also in terms of its marketing and hype, kind of non-existent versus some of the other coins. Again, maybe you think that's an advantage, but that's, I think, objectively how you would define Cardano. And these things are kind of in more stark-ish contrast to Sei Network. You may want to check out my recent video on Cardano as well. I'll include the link in the description below. Cardano just revealed its new roadmap for 2025 and beyond. They put that out last week. Let's dive into that a little bit. Let's take a closer look at some of these new updates that we can expect as per this announcement. And we begin here with staking ADA, which is now available to US customers of eToro. So in one move, we have over 40 million users of eToro US can now stake ADA. But as positive as that may be, there's actually even bigger staking news specifically for the Cardano fan base, because of course stablecoin staking is coming to Cardano. Staking stablecoins gives you yield, but without the volatility typically associated with most crypto projects and crypto assets. And in the new Cardano roadmap, there's talk of an 8 to even 10 million ADA liquidity boost for stablecoin projects. The Cardano Treasury also plans to allocate 50 million ADA to boost liquidity. This is part of the stablecoin DeFi liquidity budget proposal. And finally, in terms of big news updates for Cardano, we have Hashdex's NASDAQ Crypto Index US ETF, which now includes ADA. So there's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, and Stellar, which are already in this ETF holding. And really, this inclusion increases institutional exposure as well as credibility. Plus, another 2 spot ETF filings are waiting for SEC approval. Remember that the SEC is asking various ETF issuers to withdraw their 19B4 filings. Of course, this includes ADA, and we'll see, possibly at least could speed up the approval process. At least that's how it was looking. However, we do have to consider the US government shutdown, which may cause delays, in all honesty. So the figure has gone down here a bit, but there still seems to be a 91% chance of some type of Cardano ETF approval in 2025, as per the wisdom of the crowd on Polymarket. On to tokenomics now. The current price of ADA is just below 87 cents. That's up in the last week. It's also, check this out, up 40% in the last 3 months. So it's been a good stretch here for Cardano and for ADA. We have a $31.48 billion market cap, and in terms of circulation, out of 45 billion ADA tokens, we have 36.5 billion already in circulation, which is a good number. Keep in mind that this is a bit of an older project, a veteran project, if you will, very much a crypto blue chip. And it also seems that the only unlocking events are for staking rewards. This Altcoin Buzz Spotlight video is sponsored by Walrus Protocol, which has the fastest solution for data storage on the market today. It's from the team behind Sui, and their token and airdrop were a huge success. Walrus is already a top 150 coin. In fact, it's so resilient that even with only a few nodes operating, your data availability will not be affected. Decentralized data storage on Walrus is solving the big problem of data availability and integrity. And this is especially important for AI models and their data sets. Decentralized AI solutions are important to many of us in the industry and many of you as well. And really the last thing that we'd want to see is having to give up our data for free again, like we did with social media and a lot of the big Web 2 companies. But AI models are big, huge databases that need training on one end and specialized limited access on the consumer end. Walrus was built exactly for this. Its specialty in large pieces of unstructured data means storing models to train to your liking on your private data is easier and cheaper than ever before. And Seal helps you control who accesses it. That means you can use Walrus to create an AI app to sell to others with the user permissions and controls you need. So try Walrus today. Whether you need it to store an NFT or an entire AI model, you get the same smooth, fast, and cheap storage service. Follow Walrus on X for more updates and check out the link in the description below. So which of these two projects is the pick for today? It's going to depend a lot on your risk appetite, as is the case with a lot of decisions. Certainly the new kid on the block, the fast and the furious disruptor right now is very much SEI. But then on the other hand, we have the established and fundamentally strong Cardano chain. Its team will take its time before they release something new. That's certainly been the pattern. Everything is thoroughly tested and calculated first, probably multiple times over. But ADA is still up. Check this out, 147% in the last 12 months. And we have to contrast that with SEI, which over the same period of time here, the last year, is down over 29%. That is an interesting observation, especially when you consider that ADA's market cap is over 17 times bigger versus SEI's. But that's a good thing. It just means there's much more growth potential in terms of SEI. In terms of what we're talking about here, Yahoo Finance could even see a 5x, so a quintupling of the price for SEI. So look, if your risk appetite is bigger, go for SEI. If you're more conservative, Cardano may be your best bet. If I had to invest today, I'd probably do like a 75-25 split, 75 in favor of SEI, just because I think there's a lot that's, the project has going for it. And there's more of that upward price potential, but both of these are great. Put a gun to my head. I'm somewhat predictable when it comes to these things because we only consider good projects, and I tend to go with the one that has the lower market cap. So my response in a binary sense would have to be SEI right now at this moment, but again, they're both solid. Let me know what you think about this decision here, this matchup in the comments below. Curious to hear your feedback. Curious to hear if you have bags of one or the other, where you think the future is going to go for both of these. Also join our social media discussions. Those are happening on X and on Discord. You can find those links in the description of this video.